All right, hello everyone. Aion 2 launched yesterday. I really briefly wanted to give you guys my initial thoughts on how well it was received, well or poorly, that is, and just kind of my general thoughts. So, starting out with this, it launched 7 a.m. my time, and I didn't get into the game until about 9. There were major issues with login. Seemed like the servers just couldn't handle everyone, or maybe NCSoft just didn't do a good job. But nonetheless, I would log in into the launcher, get into the game, and then immediately kick me out. And then I had to relog into the launcher, and then it would take me multiple times to relog into the launcher. And then when I did finally get back into it and press play, it'd kick me out again, right? So that went on for about 2 hours. However, once I did finally get in, I stayed in and I didn't get kicked. And I played for maybe 12 to 15 hours straight with very little issues. Didn't kick me once. So, um, one of the more glaring issues is that the game is a Throne and Liberty lookalike, essentially. If you guys kind of look at my my skills down below, it's very similar. If you look at their their skill level up system, if you look at their skills themselves, all of this is very reminiscent of Throne and Liberty. Not to mention just the way everything feels. The combat is very similar to Throne and Liberty. I think I'd argue it's a little bit better, but nonetheless clunky. Now, in speaking with and watching some other streamers, it seems that the ping is the main issue. Canon released a video talking about how the dodge is just really delayed with the ping, and he kind of showed an example of it. And I think that makes a really good point. So that may be part of it. Nonetheless, the dungeons all feel very similar. The way the bosses are, everything feels very similar to Throne and Liberty, but maybe a little bit better. And if I were to guess, this would take away anyone who's like the PvP side of Throne, or the PvE rather. Um, I haven't gotten to endgame to try the PvP too much. I'll get into that in a little later, but I'm guessing Throne likely does it better just because that's what Throne and Liberty is. It's a PvP game. So the next issue is pay to win. So if I press G here and I go into this is the membership. So they have 3 different memberships. It's 2, right? The third is just a combination, but the cheapest membership is the Tsenka membership. Energy charge, Abyss access hours, which is huge. Okay, energy cube selection count increase in expedition. Reward key just basically looks like more loot. Not much going on here, but then when you go up to the Wind Breeze membership, okay, remote storage available, okay, convenience. That's all right. I'm okay with that. Personal trade available. Okay, this is where it really starts to dig in. So I have to pay to trade with any other player. At this point, just make it to where you can't trade. You know, I think this is stupid. Wind Breeze merchants available. I'm not entirely sure what this is. I obviously can't access it. I'm guessing it's just you have more merchants that you could buy from. Depending on what those merchants offer, I think I'd be okay with it if it was just like a general vendor that you could access anywhere. I guess that's all right. That's a convenience, you know. Market sale list registration available. Okay, this is another one, just like the trade, that I think is ridiculous. Okay, so right now, if I go to the market, right on here, there's stuff listed. Okay, let's just talk about this longsword, right? I could purchase this if I wanted to, but if I go to list something, available after subscribing, okay? And just to clarify this, right, if I go to buy this, I can purchase this, right? Yeah. Okay. I was reading through this. I got a little bit scared. I can buy from the marketplace, but I can't sell. Okay. It's like half of the issue right there. I can't sell anything. So anytime I get a weapon that is really good, right? I can't do anything other with it other than trying to sell it to a vendor or going here and dissolving it, right? Moving on with the pay to win is not the subscription, but in the shop. There's a bunch of crazy stuff you can buy here. You can spend a bunch of money. The main issue is the battle pass. I think I'm in the wrong spot here. Here we go, is the battle pass. So one starts at level 20, one starts at level 1. Again, just like Throne and Liberty, you're getting way too much stuff here. And they have 2 of them, right? And they only last for, I think it's 2 months. I don't know. Battle passes are okay in my opinion if they're cosmetics. What is this? Class rune bundle containing class runes, a class rune enhanced scroll. This is just straight materials. That's all you're buying here. So if you want a PvP, right, and you buy these, you're gonna do just fine. But without these, I don't know. We'll see. So moving on, kind of touching upon the good things is the graphics, right? If I fly up here, the game looks incredible. Unreal Engine 5, it looks very good, and I don't even think I'm at the best place here. There's some really good spots that during the story I just thought were amazing. So graphics is definitely a 10 out of 10. And to piggyback off of that, you have your character creation, right? If I come in here and I zoom in on my character, the character creation was very in depth. I think it looked good. Yeah. And to kind of touch on that too is all of the characters in the game look good, right? The first person they introduce you into in the tutorial is a very good looking character. And it's a good path forward. I think, a lot of games aren't like that nowadays, but these Asian games, they seem to understand that to sell the appearance, right? And then as we're zoomed in here, another great thing, the armor, like this is just regular armor that I have equipped. I have like a cosmetic from another armor on. Can't quite remember how I get to my cosmetics. Either way, you can apply cosmetics. You unlock them as you dissolve them in a soul bind them and everything. And this is just regular armor, and it's good to see that like all the progression armor and everything looks good, and you can kind of play with that. Very similar to like Guild Wars 2, right? Not quite as flashy so far. Like my gloves here look flashy, but it's actually just a skill. I pressed the wrong one there, but it's actually just a skill I have on. But this armor still looks great, right? Moving on, touching upon the combat. I know I kind of touched on it earlier. I think the combat it's okay, right? It's nothing flashy. It's definitely not Black Desert. I would put it a step above Throne and Liberty, I think. I'm still pretty early on, and if it's anything like Throne and Liberty, I'm sure the combat's going to feel better later in the game as I have some gear. But it feels okay now. They have like a weird system I haven't seen too often. They have like a left and a right mouse click, auto attack, and then heavy attack here. But like your skills, you have like a 1 through 4 skill here that are regular skills. You can just like do them whenever. And then these are like special skills. But then you have your Q and E skills that are based upon conditions, right? So for example, some of my skills require the target to be stunned, and then some of them require them to be like this one, for example, requires me to like stagger them. It's like for a boss attack. I think this is cool. It's all right, and I think they implemented it well. It's nothing special though. It's not gonna bring in a host of players like from Black Desert where the people only play it for the combat, right? So if I were to, I think it'd be fair, maybe give it a 6 or a 7. Like the combat system itself, right, isn't the best in my opinion. It's just okay. So, moving on, talking about the environment, the map, and everything here. I might be one of the few that believe this. I think they did a good job with the map. And I'll explain it here in a second. But essentially, you got these guys, which are your teleportation. They're spread throughout, which is fine. The map's pretty big. I'm level 34 here, and the map. It's taken me a while, right? It took me like 15 hours to get to 34, by the way, and this is all I've uncovered. But like for example, all these question marks are a little dungeon area, like a mini dungeon, right? And when you go to them and you see them, like you actually investigate them, they turn into like one of these guys where they're colored, this circle. And then if you go in them, it's a mini dungeon. It's either like a little puzzle or a boss. It's usually pretty easy, and they scale to your level, so you could do them whenever. And once you complete them, they're grayed out and they give you a check mark and they give you good materials and everything. I think this is great content. It's nice to see like you don't feel pressured to do it, but when you do it, it's nice, right? They have these world bosses just scattered throughout. I haven't got a chance to take one down. They're all level 45, so they instant one shot me right now. I can't do much, but nonetheless, it's cool, right? We all like world bosses. They have these areas that are marked out where there's just like a bunch of mobs, which is nice. Um, then you have your dungeons right here. You can see this is like a main dungeon, Urugugu Canyon, right? For example, if I go here, expedition, they call them expeditions. We'll talk about that here in a second. But overall, like the map feels good. I think there's like plenty of like little content here, like little pieces of content that you can do. Um, and the story flow with the map was good. Okay, and what I mean by that is this game just released, and I never had any issues with the main story quest and leveling. Like I'd do the main story quest, and I'd still be right at the level that I was supposed to be. Every once in a while, I'd go and do. They have what are called like regional quests. I don't have any right now because I've finished them all, but they're based on your level, I think. I'd go do those, get my gear, and then go into the main story quest. Um, I had no issues with it. Mind you, I'm a channeler, so it's like PvE is kind of like on easy mode because I got to heal and everything, and I'm kind of like just bruisery. I put out enough damage and everything. But like the single player story has been really easy and good. They fed me all this gear that I needed. I never enhanced it or anything. So it went well. To piggyback off that was the auto run system, right? So right here, they kind of show it Alt 1 if I were to click on this. If I ever needed to auto run to any quest, I could do this for multiple quests. It'd take it just like Black Desert, right? I think it was subtle enough and it worked well. It helped me get to where I was needing to go. And the whole time, especially as I'm playing with this, like I'd auto run to my quest and like go to my inventory and mess around, or I'd go to my achievements and everything and do what was needed. So I actually enjoyed the auto run, and they do have auto fly kind of. It asks you, hey, do you fly? Like if I were to do Alt 1 right now, cannot move over ground, switch to flight and move, and then it would take me, right? Um, so kind of talking about flight, I think the flight is cool, right? I can only hover for so long. I have like a little dash and everything. I can fight, right, while I'm in the air, which is neat. And I do have a special skill that is gliding. Show it to you real quickly here. It's a stigma skill right here. I have to be gliding and I just like dash in. It's cool for what it is, right? I didn't think I was going to be a big fan of the flight, but it turned out to be okay. Again, just like the combat, like it's not anything that's going to bring me to the game and keep me here, but it's a neat little thing that's different. So I'll give them that. And then one last thing when talking about the map here, they had a couple quests like there were a couple of these suggested or the regional quests that I was talking about where they took you to scenic areas. I think it's worth mentioning considering I was just talking about auto run and everything. They had these quests that kind of encourage you to explore and find scenic areas. That's how I found this spot that I'm at right now. So it's neat and worth doing. So, talking about the dungeons or the expeditions is what they call them. I'm sorry, dungeons, right? Just for terminology's sake, dungeons are these little guys right here. Sealed dungeons. Expeditions are your traditional dungeons. They were just challenging enough as I was doing them my first time, I think. But to be fair, both of the first times I did these two dungeons. This is level 20 and this is level 28. We did them with a group of 3 rather than 4, and we finished the boss pretty easily. So they were pretty easy. If I had to guess, they would get harder as I move on. I'd hope so. Fire Temple, Droopinir, background, and then Ferocious Horn. I haven't got to try these ones. These are higher level than me. But they were okay. And they seem to have like a heightened version that makes it harder, right? Just like Throne. So we'll see what those looks like. But I think the dungeons were okay for what they were. So the last thing I'd like to talk about is PvP. You might have just seen where they talked about like an invasion here. It's a little pop-up quest. What that is, this is actually perfect. So when I go to, it tells me, and I know where this one is because this is where it always shows. I go to the map and there's this purple circle right here. And if I go there, I can enter that portal and I can go over to the Asmodean server. Okay. And they can come to ours around that same circle. Okay. And what this is basically like an invasion PvP. Um, I really enjoyed this. It was one of the most fun like moments of early game PvP I've ever done. It was me and a group of my buddies. We went in there and just absolutely slaughtered. There was this one moment where it was just me and my buddy. There's two of us, and we jumped into like a group of like 10 guys just sitting there, and we just like annihilated them. It was awesome. I feel like this Chandler is really strong in PvP, and I probably outgeared everyone. I was a higher level than a lot of people at the time, but it was really fun to go over there, and I'm sure it's going to get better as everyone's like on a level playing field and everything. So since I'm talking about it, I think it's worth noting the combat, the flow of combat for PvP. I did a bunch of duels, and then I did do this PvP on the side with the invasions. I think they call it the Abyss. It wasn't super fast. It's fast paced, but you don't kill someone in like 2 seconds, which I think was nice. And again, this could be because of gear, but even when I had like a 200 gear score difference, like early on, I was dueling some of my buddies and they were 200 gear score and I was like 400. Like it took me a little bit to kill them. I had to go through a couple rotations. Oh, I just got disconnected. Interesting. That's funny considering all the game launch issues. But uh, the combat pace is good. Okay, brought me back in. Nice. That was interesting. Again, the combat pace is good, right? It's not too quick and it's not slow. It's a good pace, so I'll give them that. Nonetheless, with everything going on, right? Overall, thoughts on the game. I think Aion 2 has a long way to go before they want, if they want this to be a staple in the MMO community. I genuinely think they kind of fumbled the bag here. It's just with the launch issues, the pay to win, right? It is basically a Throne and Liberty look-alike. There's just a lot of issues going on, especially when these are your initial impressions, right? There's so many people who didn't even get to play, even streamers, right? And they were trying for hours. I think that's really going to turn a lot of people off. I am curious to see what the global launch is going to look like here in half a year or so. But I do have hope, right? If they can fix the pay to win, if they can fix the server issues, I think there's potential. The combat feels clunky right now. I think part of that's a ping issue. Again, part of it might be a gear issue. There's certainly time to improve here, and they have an okay base. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep on playing it, keep on uploading, and see what it looks like. And I'll do a more in-depth video after 100, 200 hours or so, and let you guys know what I think. But for right now, I'm a little disappointed, but hopeful to see where it can go. So, yeah, I think that about sums it up.